Hut, hut, hike! Hello again, my fellow Bears fans. Your boy Roy here on Football Friday and another edition of Chicago Football Talk. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's video showing you the deception that the Bears plan to use as the key to their offense with the Mike Tice offense. Heavy use of the two tight end sets. This is kind of a follow-up of that leading to the Colts game. A fellow Bears fan on Twitter asked me a question about whether or not the Bears, if I expected them to run to open up the passing game. And I thought, you know what? After looking at that Redskins game again, after realizing that I think the Bears use that as a test bed for what they plan to run versus the Colts, if anything, I expect them to actually come out throwing the ball like they did versus the Redskins to open up the run. And when you have weapons, as long as you're successful doing that, you're able to do so. So I want to show you 4 plays here. 2 plays from early on in the game from their very first drive where they used the pass out of running formations to set up a couple of subsequent running plays, some success that happened in running plays after they got the passing game going. So let's get going. The very first passing play that I have to show you is the very first play that the Bears ran on offense in the game. With the ball on the right hash mark, the Bears line up with the F tight end in an offset eye to the near side of the field, and the Y tight end lined up off the line of scrimmage on the wide side of the field. The Redskins put 8 men in the box using their safety as the 8th man allied on the strong side of the formation, which is where the Y tight end Kellen Davis is. This leaves 1 safety deep lined up on the weak side of the formation. That's the opposite side of where the Y tight end Kellen Davis is. This also leaves that deep safety rolled to Brandon Marshall's side of the field, that being the weak/near side. The Bears then motion the Y tight end Kellen Davis to the other side of the field, thereby moving the strong side of the formation to the near side of the field. Adjusting to the new strong side of the formation, the 8th man in the box also moves to the near side of the field. What flipping the strong side of the formation does is it causes the single deep safety to move away from Brandon Marshall's side of the field, presumably to the weak side of the formation. Now, with both tight ends on the same side of the field, this play definitely screams run to the defense. However, with 8 men in the box, and after moving the single deep safety away from Brandon Marshall's side to give him more room to work, Jay Cutler exploits the one-on-one matchup by launching a bomb to a wide open Brandon Marshall. Now, that being the very first play of the game, for the Bears offense, they started out using their 2 tight ends to deceive the Redskins 3-4 defense into thinking that they were going to run the ball. From that very first play, the Bears were using the pass to later open up the running game on subsequent drives. Now, this next play occurs on the 5th play of the same opening drive of the game for the Bears. Up to this point, every time the Bears have had 2 tight ends on the field, which was 3 out of their last 4 plays, they've thrown the ball out of running formation. So let's take a look at the next play. Here we are again with 2 tight ends on the field on first down, this time in the red zone. With the ball on the left hash mark, the Y tight end Kellen Davis is lined up on the wide side of the field on the line of scrimmage with his hand in the ground. The F tight end is lined up on the same side of the field as the Y tight end in an offset eye again. This look has the Redskins thinking run again as they react by moving their safety up as the 8th man in the box to the strong side of the formation. This again leaves a single safety deep who's aligned on the weak side of the formation on Brandon Marshall's side of the field. The way the defense is lined up now, this actually gives Alshon Jeffrey the best matchup on this play. Jeffrey is lined up on the strong side of the formation where the 8th man in the box is, and on the opposite side of the field from where the single deep safety is. Jay recognizes this, and after a play fake, draws the linebackers in a couple yards to create a bigger cushion for Jeffrey to work with. Cutler fires a bullet to Jeffrey for a near touchdown score. As you see from those 2 successful passing plays, which were ran from nearly identical running formations, that helps to soften up the Redskins' defense and therefore set up the running game on these following plays. Let's get into these 2 running plays where they're softened up. Moving forward to the first play of the Bears' next drive. With the ball on the left hash mark, here we see the Bears come out with 2 Y tight ends, both lined up on the line of scrimmage to the wide side of the field. This gives the Redskins another running look, so they again react to it by bringing the safety up as the 8th man in the box on the strong side of the formation where the tight ends are. However, this time they only bring him up to the linebacker level, and that's because he's not going to be staying there for long. The Redskins decide they've been burned enough by the Bears passing out of running formations, so the 8th man doesn't stay in the box for long, eventually backpedaling out of the box before the snap. With the 8th man now out of the box, the Bears take full advantage and run right where that 8th man would have been for positive yards. Fooled again by using 2 tight end formations as often as possible, and by starting the game with passing out of those running formations, the Bears have the 3-4 defense of the Redskins right where they want them, on their heels and guessing wrong. Now let's move into the second play. This is also the first play of another drive. Moving forward to the first play of their next long drive, with the ball on the left hash mark, the Bears come out with 2 wide tight ends again, with one on each side of the field, lined up on the line of scrimmage with their hands in the ground. This is yet another run look, but after being burned a few times, the Redskins decide to play it safe and therefore line up without putting an 8th man in the box at all. Had the Redskins put an 8th man in the box, he would likely go to the strong side of the formation, which again is where the wide tight end is lined up. But because the Bears have 2 wide tight ends lined up and on opposite sides of the field from each other in what's known as a balanced formation, there is no strong side of the formation. In this case, defenses would tend to line up their 8th man in the box to the wide side of the field where the running back has more room to run. As we move the play forward, we see that the Bears again take advantage of the Redskins being on their heels, as they do indeed run the ball. What's worse for the Redskins is that Michael Bush ends up gaining positive yards by cutting the ball back to where the Redskins' 8th man would likely have been. So as I mentioned before, and I've mentioned several times, and I'll mention again, strategy is king in football. It really does matter. Mike Tyson's reliance on the tight ends exclusively and as often as he relies on them is helping to create deception and confusion, and is allowing the Bears to use the pass to actually set up the run. And it basically creates doubt, which is the worst thing that you can have create in a defensive player's head. Now, assuming that the Bears tested their strategy versus the Redskins 3-4, the strategy that they're going to run versus the Colts 3-4, which I'm sure they did take advantage of that opportunity. I personally expect that the Bears are going to actually pass to set up the run, in answer to my fellow Bears fans' Twitter question who asked me if they would actually run to set up the pass. The one thing about that is Pagano's teams are usually better, much improved in passing defenses previously from when he joined them. So if that ends up happening, if the Bears end up being pretty good against the pass, if the Bears should come out throwing to try to set up the run early, that's where I was saying the Bears are just going to have to be patient if they struggle early versus the Colts. All right, enjoy the game. Football is almost here, less than 48 hours. Make sure you check back on Chicago Football Talk. I'm going to post our staff season picks. And also, again, make sure you subscribe to this channel, Chicago Football Talk, as this is the new home of Chicago Football Talk. As always, for Chicago Football Talk, your boy Roy. Enjoy the game. Peace, and I'm out.